Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, John Cass, johncassnews.com is the website that you want to subscribe to if you don't already.
I expect you to, and anyone listening, I will find you if you don't.
Wow. That is an interesting marketing approach. Yeah. Nothing threatening your prospective customers.
I don't want to threaten. I want to be direct.
Right. It's very direct. Okay.
I'm not going to do that.
President Cass. Let's since we didn't get to TikTok yet because of this breaking news about Biden's preemptive pardons. Let's talk a little bit about that as we prepare to welcome our guest, Stephen Bucci.
Our addiction to the spy agency? Yeah.
Well, we had some development, of course, over the weekend. First, the Supreme Court upheld the law banning TikTok if it does not divest from ByteDance and sell off to an American consortium. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank says he's put together a group that's willing to pay $20 billion for American TikTok. And they're resistant, ByteDance is, unsurprisingly. So that's one thing. And then Trump, upon TikTok going dark on Sunday, said, hold the phone. I'm going to sign an executive order upon taking office today that gives TikTok another 90 days to comply with the law. Well, actually, I mean, based on the law, he doesn't really have a basis to provide this delay, as Mike Gallagher, former Republican congresswoman from Wisconsin, who also headed up that special select committee on the Chinese Communist Party, explained over the weekend.
Well, really, there's two threats. Having your foremost geopolitical adversary control what is becoming the dominant news platform for young Americans raises the threat of espionage. The platform could be used to spy on 170 million Americans, and also it could be used as a propaganda platform. Therefore, all we're saying is divest, change the ownership structure, and people can continue to use the app. And the only reason we're here today is because TikTok spent the last 270 days trying to not comply with the law, suing the government so that they didn't have to comply with the law, lobbying against the law, and ultimately losing. If they were a normal market actor, they would have taken the tens of billions of dollars that any number of people are willing to offer them. But of course, it proves they are not a normal market actor. This is a weapon in the hands of Xi Jinping designed to weaken America, and only changing the ownership structure will fix that. As for an extension, there is no extension. Let me tell you, as the person who wrote the bill, the extension was for within the 270-day window, which closed at 12:01 a.m. this morning. And in order to get an extension, the president has to certify there are legally binding documents enabling the execution of a qualified divestiture, which, of course, there isn't. And indeed, TikTok, no less than 10 days ago, was at the Supreme Court saying that a divestiture is impossible. So again, TikTok has only themselves to blame. It is time to make a deal that results in a qualified divestiture.
Well, I mean, I think Mike Gallagher's description is actually pretty accurate, but that doesn't mean that Trump's executive order won't win the day and that TikTok won't be provided another 90 days of forbearance.
Can a nation that is addicted to a foreign intelligence operation to plumb their minds, their souls, can that nation survive? I don't.
Right.
I mean, because that's what we're being confronted with right now.
We need to confine our addictions to misinformation campaigns to those that are conducted domestically on Facebook and Google and Instagram. And sure, I understand. Okay. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure to be on the show, and I appreciate you guys taking on this. This is a tough subject that a lot of Americans are wrestling with right now.
Well, right, and it's making for strange bedfellows like Tom Cotton and Dick Blumenthal. Maybe Tom Cotton wants to reflect upon his agreement with Dick Blumenthal on much of anything, but the Supreme Court has weighed in. The president has weighed in. There seems to be general, with perhaps the exception of Rand Paul, there seems to be general consensus around the idea that we don't want to ban TikTok, but we do want to see TikTok in the hands of someone other than the Chinese Communist Party, and we're willing to maybe bend the letter of the law a little bit in order to provide more time for that to happen.
Yeah, I think that's totally what we're looking at. President Trump is looking at the millions and millions of Americans who are addicted to TikTok, particularly those who use it for business means, and he doesn't want to screw all those American businesses and alienate them all. I can understand that, but you still have to weigh that against the national security concerns. This is the most over-the-top, egregious intel operation that any of us have ever seen. I remember back a while ago, I think it was either Babylon Bee or The Onion, one of the other parody sites that talked about the CIA saying, this whole Facebook thing has been a great operation for us. We gather all this data. We tried another one. It was called Twitter, but that one, the stuff was just so useless we couldn't, make any head nor hair of it. But it turns out it's not a joke. Intel services build sites that addict people, that provide people with, not just misinformation defined as, well, I disagree with that, so right. I don't believe it's true, that domestic part of it. But this is stuff that's designed to lead Americans astray. And, we're giving it permission to stay open and keep getting its tentacles out further. Because I got to tell you, even with the divestiture, we're not going to clear out all of the Chinese, tentacles that are in there. It's just not going to happen.
Well,
They're
but
hiding that stuff.
Yeah, but let me just jump in here and play a bit of devil's advocate. The propaganda piece. We're going to lead Americans astray. I mean, astray to do what? Is this like Manchurian Candidate stuff? People are going to be programmed to assassinate political leaders. I mean, what does that mean exactly? Where they're going to have a different understanding of Tiananmen Square? They're going to volunteer to be at service to the Chinese Communist Party? I mean, what does that exactly mean? What is the fear?
Potentially all of the above. I'd say an example now is the number of crazy American students that have gone to their college campuses and protests in favor of Hamas, who are, egregiously bad, evil, animal kind of terrorists. But they look at all of the stuff that's out there, and look, don't get me wrong, some of this stuff is on other news sites too, like MSNBC. But there, it's just misguided Americans doing it, not some foreign intelligence service that's curating what comes to the fore, what pops up on your device. That is not insignificant, guys. I mean, that can cause people to vote differently. It can cause people to make decisions about what companies they go to and what they don't. That's not something you just ignore. And that's the problem is a lot of Americans are going, you know what? This is not that big a deal. We can handle this. It'll be fine. And I'm not ready to quite roll the dice for that.
100% agree with you. If you're given the opportunity to run an intelligence operation against the United States, this one is the perfect one, isn't it? You've got all these kids clamoring for it, crying hysterically that they may lose it. I mean, that's perfect. No?
Yeah, it gives you a vehicle that you can feed people a lot of crap, and crap that they want us to have. And that's not, I just don't see how it's wise to hand that to an enemy or anybody else. I don't want our government doing that to us. I darn sure don't want a foreign government doing that to us.
I wanted to get to a couple other topics. Greenland. Since Trump announced his intent to acquire said Danish territory, the PM Mute Egid. Is that Egid? I don't know. I think that's right. But I'm still familiarizing myself with the power structure of Greenland. He talked about Greenlandic and Danish relations as obstacles to cooperation with the United States, shackles of the colonial era. They had that joint press conference where they both Greenland and Denmark, heads of state, said the status quo isn't an option. There's Axios is reporting that the Danes have been sending private messages to the Trump administration expressing willingness to discuss boosting security in Greenland or increasing the U.S. military presence on the island. So, what's your handle on what is the best case scenario for the United States with respect to Greenland now that Trump has sort of forced open these conversations and considerations?
I don't have any evidence that President Trump really honestly wants to, annex Greenland. I mean, it's a big piece of territory that you can't do much with other than it's a really large stationary aircraft carrier that you can use to help monitor what goes on in the Arctic Circle. And I think this is another, very Trumpian move to get an ally to behave better, to cooperate more, to allow more access for us, to do more themselves to protect those areas that their territory borders upon. If they want to give us Greenland, I'm sure President Trump would be happy to take it. But, I don't think that's probably going to happen. I think hopefully we'll see Denmark and all of NATO pony up more to protect the Arctic, which is a big area of conflict right now with both Russia and the Chinese, interestingly enough. I think that's what's going on. I think likewise with Panama, does Trump want us to take over the Panama Canal? I think it would probably be his preference, but hopefully we can get the Chinese out of Panama, and that would probably be acceptable. So this is the classic. You ask for 150 because you really want 100, and we'll see where we go.
The Middle East. So this ceasefire deal that was cut began to be executed over the weekend with 3 Israeli hostages being released. So the whole first phase of 33 hostages held by Hamas, 3 of whom are Americans. I guess 2 in the first phase, and then the third in the second phase. Is this a good deal for the United States and for Israel and for stability in the Middle East, or did the Trump administration rush this when they shouldn't have?
I don't think we should try and make any deal with Hamas. I don't think Hamas is capable of really making a deal and then abiding by it. They're just horrific people. However, I'm not an Israeli prime minister, and the Israelis have a long history of giving extraordinary numbers of bad guys, convicted killers, back to these characters for 1, 2, 3, 4, in this case, a couple of dozen of their citizens. That is their way of dealing with these people. I don't think that's going to restrict Bibi Netanyahu from going in and hammering these guys some more as soon as they step out of line, because we all know Hamas will. They're not going to abide by this deal. We may get a few hostages out, which is a good thing, and we'll get some of these people released. Hopefully, we've issued them their pagers already, and we could activate those when necessary. But look, this is another sovereign nation that we're dealing with. We have all been, saying, please, Netanyahu, stop listening to the American government. They're giving you a bad, juju on this. Okay, now that government's gone. Trump did have people at this negotiation. So I think that's what actually caused Hamas to say, okay, let's do this deal and let some of these people go, because they don't know what Trump's going to do. But this was really an Israeli-designed proposal, and it's a classic Israeli one. Yeah, we'll give you a couple of hundred of these mopes we don't care about. They're animals anyway. We don't need to feed them anymore. You take them back, but we'll get one or two of our people back. So we'll have to see where it goes. But I don't think any of those IDF forces in the region have unloaded their magazines. I think they are all locked and loaded, ready to go. As soon as some idiot in Hamas starts shooting more rockets, they're going to come in, and this thing's going to go away, and they're going to just hammer them, because now they'll have an administration in Washington that isn't going to wag their finger at them. They'll say, okay, well, we gave it a shot. Go for it. Take them out.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow on the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Have a great week, guys. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Stephen Bucci joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
My name is Dr. Joe Mealy. I've been a dentist for 56 years, and I'm a certified nutritional consultant. I started taking Balance of Nature 15 years ago. I think most people think when they eat fruits and vegetables, this is their idea of fruits and vegetables. I had an apple today. I had a pear today. I had a banana. That's their fruits and vegetables. They don't understand that each one of those fruits and vegetables has different nutrients than the others. Balance of Nature has made a significant difference in my life, in my wife's life. I feel we're on this earth to help each other. And if other people